Hi everyone and welcome back. I thought I'd do a quick update, second update on the texture rollers. Said before I was going to try and resin cast them. I gave it a go. So this is how it went. Well, the first attempt had a few issues. It's got air bubbles in it. There we go, so there's bubbles in here. Still works. Because it's like more rough texture, bubbles everywhere in this one. So not great but functional. So I thought, right, okay, how do I get around this? Unfortunately I don't have the facilities to pressure cast at the moment. Something to add to the future, but obviously I've got to raise funds to buy the equipment to do it. So as I have a degassing chamber, I decided I would measure out the resin as the two parts, the catalyst and the actual resin itself, and degas it completely before mixing it very carefully. Mixing it very carefully when you're on about a 2-minute timer is quite tricky. But the second one came out really nice. Downside is there's 140 grams of resin in that. So not the cheapest thing to produce. We had worries about these edges. These are actually really strong. I didn't know how strong that was going to be. This is polyurethane and it's actually really solid. If anything, it's in line with the print, which is great. There's the printed master. So I haven't got worries on the strength. So let's get down to the table and give it a roll and you can have a look at it. So all of the texture rollers are designed to go onto a Harris Taskmaster wallpaper roller. There is a slight variation between them. That one's quite tight, got a nice fit. I won't do that one because it'll set the dogs off. This one, the resin one, you can feel there's actually more weight to it. Good fit. You want it to be a reasonable fit, because if it goes in too far you start rubbing this edge against the handle here. So let's grab our foam, line it up. The trick with this is to keep rolling it. See, so you work in the pattern. You give it a push with the hand, your hand as well to. So you really have, if you want to get the texture on the stone itself, so the cuts go in quite easily. If you want to get the texture side of it on the stone, you really have to work it. It depends on obviously what XPS you're using. If you can find something a little bit softer, I'll recommend it. You can always go over this with the old tin foil anyway. But the idea is to get as much of the texture onto this as you can. There you go, set that up. So we have a textured piece. The thing I did quite like about the block roller, if you twist it so it doesn't line up, you can just pretty well lined, by some miraculous miracle, I almost lined that one up perfectly and I didn't want to. Let's try again. So twist it a bit and you start getting more breaking up of the blocks. It's quite nice, you've got the 3D texture because it pushes in quite well. Some of the blocks are different heights. So I would say that's a success. Probably going to be the most common used one is the dry stone. So I'll quickly show you that one. This one's the same sort of thing. Work it in. This one has got obviously a lot more detail on it. So give it a good roll. To work some more in there. It's a bit awkward to see in this light. It'd come up better when you can paint it. Let's see if I can get this to... There you go. So you see the texture there, if I get the light, yep. And go that way, take the fingers off it. There's the block one. Right, let's put up the camera and have a chat. Right, as I said, pretty well a success in the end with the resin. If I could pressure cast, it would make it more 100% guaranteed that each cast would be right. Because obviously the pressure will crush the air bubbles. Something in the future, as I've said. The mould is a bit of a beast. Doesn't look like much there. Concerns I had with the mould was, am I going to get it out without ripping it to pieces? It's actually quite surprising it came out quite well. Yes, you do get a vacuum in the middle because you've got this big bung coming up the centre of it. So you sort of ease it, gradually ease it around the edge, ease it up. And if you tip it at an angle, the actual piece you're taking out, then tip it the other way. You can break the vacuum and then lift it out. So that works quite well. How long will the mould last? I usually estimate for like 30 pulls. It could be higher. This one's quite a rough sort of texture, obviously being a texture roller. But the rough textures are actually outwards. So you haven't got little thin bits of silicone in there that could rip. So it should, fingers crossed, last 30 plus pulls. But you just have to wait and see. I'll update you when it dies. So, that to make was about 10 quid. So it's a fair bit of silicone there. Luckily, it worked first time. Phew. Casting wise, as I said, about 140 grams. And so it cost a few quid to make. It's a nice weight, solid, strong. I'm happy. So these ones will be going off to their new owner, and I will be cracking on making some masters some more. As gradually funds build up, I'll start making more resin versions of them, and hopefully very soon have them available for people as they wish. If people want the odd one, yes, I can shove one on the printer and let it run. Print time, about 7 hours, so I'm looking at one a day, unfortunately, that way. Where resin casting, I can cast it, what am I looking at, probably 20 minutes mucking about, because I've got to degas it, etc. Get that right, pour it in, let it set. I don't overly count setting time as a time as such, because obviously you chuck it to one side, you get on with something else. We're going to stick the kettle on. But normally the smaller stuff I demould in about 20 minutes, 20-25 minutes. These, I decided I'll leave it probably a good hour, 40 minutes to an hour. You know what it's like. How close am I? Right, I do. But if I longer you leave it, obviously the harder it is. So you want it reasonably hard to bring it out, get it out the mould, and then even though it's cured, it continues hardening probably for another 24 hours. So after 24 hours, it's at its full strength. Luckily, I don't have to add a load of additives to it. That was my worry. I was going to have to add stuff to it to make it stronger. It's strong. It works. Great result. Well, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, get it out there. And have a great week gaming, and I'll see you all soon. Cheers.